Guys, we're going to move into spoilers now. So if you haven't seen this, get out of here. There's some really fun stuff in this movie. First thing I want to touch on is the way this opened was quite interesting in that we're focusing on Mark Strong's character. I thought that was a very interesting way to go. In the moment, I was kind of not loving it.
Same.
But as a complete piece, and when you see where it goes, I think on the second viewing you'll probably enjoy it more.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought that was a really cool way to open it up.
Okay.
I was actually more. I was really interested by that little aspect of it.
Okay.
Because it introduced a lot of the mechanics. It introduced the kind of adversary. You know, I thought it was just a really good way to intro the viewer into this world.
Sure.
And give some backstory with it remaining, kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And it also gave a surprising amount of development to the Shazam character or the wizard character. Because I mean, if you hadn't seen him, fail originally with passing on his powers, then it would have seemed out of place for him to be so exasperated later on in the film.
And a great example of what I was talking about before, in that for all intents and purposes in this scene, he's a villain. Like, he ruins his kid's life.
He's
and how many others?
Wildly irresponsible.
Yeah.
I mean, in both
desperate.
In both his original idea of finding the perfect person, which is something that I thought that they didn't really capitalize enough on. Because I mean, he said go find me the perfect human being, and then that didn't kind of seem to have a full tie-in. But yeah, both in his search for a perfect human being, and then in his abruptness to find just anyone.
Yeah. And
you're like, no, you're not meant to pick a kid. That's not the right way to do this. So yeah, I really liked how they opened that up. I thought that was a really clever way to do it. I think from there on is where I started to kind of find the villain character. The development that they did just kind of seemed to peter out immediately after that. From there on in, he was just
fully formed villain at that point.
Stock standard bad guy. And that felt a bit, iffy.
Just quickly in that opening scene, fun fact that his father is played by John Glover, Lionel Luthor, Lex Luthor's father from Smallville.
Okay.
That's
That's
where
I recognize him from.
Because Dr. Savannah is the proto Lex Luthor character. He came out a few months before Lex Luthor in the comics.
Oh, really?
He's very different than in this movie. In the comics,
Yeah, no
he's
kidding.
just a super scientist kind of dickhead. Anyway.
One of the other things that became apparent right off from the beginning was the introduction of the Seven Sins, which I thought was a really cool concept throughout the film. I particularly loved the voice work and then also the design and the execution of them.
It was beautiful. I fucking loved it.
Really?
It was so Mignola-y to me, and it was so hidden by the marketing. I think a big reason I love this movie is the marketing did not show any of this stuff and a lot of the stuff later on. The Seven Deadly Sins are so up my alley. I love creature features and monster movies, and the fact that there's just these seven monsters.
They're all individually cool. And you could I remember looking at them and being like, oh, I bet that one's sloth and that one's.
I had so much fun with that too.
Yeah, like that.
The Machoke one.
Yeah,
the forearms.
I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I was like, okay, this is cool. It gives a little bit more weight. It in juxtaposition to Mark Strong's character, it felt a bit, there was so much potential on that, and then Mark, that villain character seemed a little bit bland, particularly in comparison. So you're like, oh, all right, he's just kind of a vehicle via which the Seven Sins can kind of, tag along as the villains. But yeah, look, I loved that setup. I loved them throughout it.
And it should have been a losing battle because a DC movie with not one but 7 big grey CGI monster villains.
My goodness.
Yeah, should be 7 times worse than every one of these other ones we've had before. But yeah, I loved them to death.
I wish I was with you guys.
I'm really surprised you're not.
I thought they were one redesign of being fantastic.
Okay.
And I thought they were like, oh, they're trying to do a Del Toro thing. They're trying to do a Mignola thing. They haven't. They're 70% of the way there. And then another thing. So when they're statues, I really dug them. But the texturing in the CG, I didn't hate it. I definitely didn't hate it. But I wanted to really love it. And then the smoke and those effects diminished it quite a lot for me. I didn't think they quite nailed that.
They're a little weightless.
But I liked the approach. I thought they almost nailed it.
Okay.
The one thing I did want from them that I was thinking before they cracked out of the stone was that I wanted them to be individually colored.
Oh, that would be
because
cool.
this movie was so colorful, and especially later on, there's kind of like a Power Rangers theme to the good guys that I thought would have been really fun.
That would have been fun, yeah.
But yeah, so I was surprised they didn't really do that. But
I really liked the voice work as well. And I mentioned to you, Ben, that at least one of them sounded like note for note like the original Aladdin, the guy with the diamond in the rough voice. I was like, that is eerie how similar it sounds.
Yeah, I as I said, I wish I'd loved it, but it was it was cool how they each had their own personality, and it lent into the role they played or the sin that they represented.
I don't mean to just harp on the villain character, but like Mark Strong's character, I did not like the overall costume, like the spectacles with the blue eye behind it. I was like,
I didn't mind that.
It just feels so fucking 90s villain type shit. Like,
I didn't hate that.
I thought he was very well dressed. He's a snappy dresser.
I didn't like the eye effect. I thought that was really rudimentary.
What I really did like about it was how ahead of the movie you could get by realizing that once all the sins were out, his eye was just plain white. Like I thought that was the mechanics of that were really nicely realized.
It showed that while he was in the boardroom, and it kind of makes you think like,
And also just quickly the big shocking moment the first up in this film when the woman dies touching the door.
Yeah, what an awesome. I kind of wish that
Did
Mark
you guys
Strong
like that?
had. Yeah, I wish Mark Strong.
Oh my god! It's like, is this being directed by a horror director by any chance? I thought that was like such an extreme moment for a kids' film. I thought that was fucking awesome.
I'm so surprised.
Some kids.
I really want to.
I'm so that looked like an effect out of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh yeah, it didn't look amazing, but I just thought the moment was so good and so unexpected.
For me, it lost me in execution.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would have wanted out of that, apart from the special effects being maybe a touch better, but didn't really bother me.
Also,
really, I'm normally the guy.
Yeah, I know.
I'm normally forgiving, and you guys are the guys like CG sucks.
Just quickly, that woman is just fun fact cameo. That woman is the star of all of David S. Sandberg's short films, Lights Out and such.
Oh, okay.
And she's in all of his movies.
Yeah. I would have loved a little bit more play off that from Mark Strong. He kind of gave a very bland reaction to it, and I would have, kind of, I don't know, I didn't want him to, holy shit, there's a cat.
Hey.
I wasn't, expecting him to like, okay, no, you're going, it's been lovely. No,
don't hurt him.
I'm not gonna hurt him.
Oh, do not have a baby, Connor.
I'll try not to. I didn't expect him to go like, whoa, and his eyes pop out of his head or anything like that, but I just, a little bit more kind of comedic timing on his part, which is not typically Mark Strong.
Do you know what I would have loved to have seen in that scene is a guy who has spent 40 years or however long it's been, 30 years, hell-bent on trying to find this and just like kind of like losing his mind. Like, I'm back, man. Like, this is it. And I felt like he was like, yeah, Mark Strong, man. I just felt like it was so. I wanted more. And that's where I was saying in the non-spoiler part, like I wanted that maniacal, like this guy on this mission, like his life's mission, is to find this crusade, and I just did not feel that weight or that burden that in his performance.
Okay, so there's two big kind of spoilers of this film for me. That I want to talk about. The first one, I guess, is the whole kind of premise is Billy Batson character is he's searching for his mother.
Yeah.
He's been going from foster home to foster home, running away, trying to find her. And we do eventually get the reveal of what happened to her in this movie, and that blew my socks off.
Oh, incredible!
I thought it was the boldest choice.
Yes.
In pretty much any DC EU movie, it was so much darker than I thought they would have gone, and in a movie this light and fun, having that dark edge to it, and not in like a gritty edgelord way, but like a just emotional realness, was like it brought me to tears. Like he finds his mother and realizes she's just a dropkick who doesn't want him, and the most beautiful part in the execution is very early in the film we see a flashback to him at the carnival as a child with her through his eyes. We see her being this loving mother who's having a lot of fun with him. And then when we see it later, we see it through the kind of adult lens.
Yep.
And she's clearly just exasperated. She doesn't want to be there hanging out with this kid at a carnival. And then when she loses him, we see her just kind of walk away and leave him with the cops. And it's heartbreaking. And especially as someone getting to an age when you're starting to recontextualize things from your childhood through more adult eyes, it really, man, it did something for me.
Yeah, I thought I completely agree. And the dialogue between them.
It was all about what wasn't said.
Yeah, and she was just like, yeah, I've got to do something.
This is a bad time for me. And he's like, oh yeah, I got to get back to my real family.
And it was so kind of cut off. Like,
Did that feel like a bit of a forced line to you?
No, I thought it was
not at all, because he, at that point, didn't have one. He didn't even consider them that still. So it was heartbreaking.
I completely agree. I thought that was, and it was a lot of build up to that. Like that's Billy Batson's like main mission in this, essentially.
Yeah.
Other than sort of discovering his superpowers and stuff. And I thought that was just very, very powerful.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that whole that plot line of him trying to find somewhere to belong in this world. And it kind of comes to the, I guess, ultimate fruition in what will inevitably then be your second major spoiler of the film, which is that
the whole Marvel family is there.
The whole Marvel family is there, yeah.
All of his foster brothers and sisters become big Shazam superheroes like him. Again, not revealed at all.
The best Power Rangers movie we've ever had.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is kick-ass, man.
I couldn't believe that they went there.
Well, it seems so bizarre that that's the direction they were going. And the first thing that I thought, though, if I'm to be honest, it was very nitpicky, was like, oh, there's now 5 of these, like, what is already like Superman level heroes. It kind of felt like, is there anything that they can't do? And my immediate thought was,
your second thought was, wait, no, there's 6 of them.
Yeah, sure, 5 more. It was the implication for the overall universe. Like, if there's fucking 6 of them, like, how is that not just overpowered to the max? What did clarify that a little bit for me was you explaining that it's not explicitly said in the movie, which is that each of them only has one of the powers of Shazam.
So they sort of inferred that, didn't you feel?
I thought it was very clear.
But it wasn't. It was well.
I sort of got that.
She's like, I'm very fast, and he's like, well, look at how strong I am, and only one of them's flying around.
But they don't actually say that, like, I can't do this.
Sorry, we should have spelled it out for you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
here's the bullet points of powers available to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really blew my mind. And watching it the second time, the introductory scene to all of those kids does a really fun little job of introducing you to the power that each of them will have later in the film. Like, Darla's running around, just talking all fast and stuff, never slows down. What's his name? Eugene is on the computer.
Yeah.
So he's the techie kid. What's his name? Pedro left his weights on the table, so he's a big fat kid, but he's going to turn into the strong guy. And I just, there's so much in this movie that on a second watch, going forward, you gotta change the levels.
Fiddling.
Yeah, and then just actually seeing it all realized, and seeing, what's his name? Adam Brody.
Oh my God, bro. That absolutely blew me away, because the whole time I was watching this movie, I was like, that kid honest to God, I was
Really?
like, that kid reminds me so much of Seth from the OC.
That's so funny.
And then he fucking turned up.
Such good casting. And I thought it's really going to distract me in It Chapter 2, when his character isn't played by him as an adult now.
He's Bill Hader, isn't he?
No, that's the other guy.
Bill Hader's the main kid, I think.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah,
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know.
Ah, fuck it.
But he's not Adam Brody.
But oh man, that honestly, I cannot tell you. Like, no, the cinema was fucking dead silent, filled of all these UNSW students, and I was like, "Holy shit! I remember that show.
Remember the OG?
I thought it was the actors did a really good job. Like, the adult actors did a really good job of, like, making it feel as though they were kids in adult movie.
Totally.
Particularly the young girl,
Darla, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that she did the adult did a really good job of, like, making it feel as though, like, this 5-year-old or however old is she's meant to be, like 6 or 7, is like he suddenly has all this big power and is in an adult body. And
Completely agree.
yeah, it really felt like that.
Yeah, so just one of the biggest points of praise I want to give this film is when we were getting up to this third act, it was Shazam and the young kids who hadn't transformed versus Savannah and his 7 deadly sins. And I was just kind of sitting there, like, enjoying it very much, but, like, I wonder how they're going to wrap this up. I wonder how the good guys are going to win, because usually it's pretty rote in these movies. It's just a fight and they win. And I was like, man, I hope this does something a bit different, something a bit special. And I thought at just several different points through it, it really did.
I agree, man.
And I was so happy to see that. And again, none of it was spoiled by the marketing. And then, Savannah and Shazam have their own fight flying off in the thing. And there's a hilarious bit where he's doing his big villain speech and he just can't hear it.
Oh my God. That's one of my favorite bits from this movie. And that's what I want to see more of that. Like the big villainous speech is undercut by him being a mile away. Like,
although,
hello.
Do you know what it reminded me of? And the joke's been done before by Kung Fu Panda 2, I think it was. I don't know if you remember that.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it, really?
No.
I reckn you should check it out. It's actually a lot of fun.
Okay.
But there is a moment where he, instead of doing a villain speech, he does like the big heroic speech. He's kind of projecting, and then like everyone's just sitting, way back, being like, "What?" So yeah, I know it's not like an original joke, but I still love it. It's so good.
I thought that was spot on, man.
Yeah.
And Mark Strong does a really good villain speech, and he was really like sopping it up. He was, doing the really kind of typical like, "I will take the world" and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was really
Feast
great.
upon your heart. That was like the main part where him just being a stereotypical villain worked so well because they were undercutting it the other way. Yeah.
And I did like that. Like, they made a lot of nods. So we haven't really talked about it too much in detail, but that whole scene of them discovering his powers and him like figuring out what he can do, I thought like, obviously, that's what you do if you suddenly got superpowers. Like you just test shit out. You'd have fun with it, charging people's phones, all that stuff. And I love how like the sudden weight of responsibility affects him. Like he's like, "Oh, this shit is real. Fuck no. No, I don't want to." Like when he's watching the bus about to come down, he's like, please don't make me do this. Like, please don't make me be a hero or anything like that. I thought that they did that really well.
The dog's there.
Yeah, it's so
such a good moment.
I'm surprised those people's faces all got crushed. They all just waltz off the bus like, fine. But like,
brings the bloody the mattress, and he's like, no.
Yeah, that was so good. And I've got to give a shout out to the beer scene. Where they go, and they're shooting. The two guys are shooting him in the face.
Yeah,
like that whole sequence really worked for me.
Yep, and just part of that whole kind of montage learning powers thing. Something I really love about this movie, as an angle they took, is they don't really give him a name.
Shazam,
but they sort of give him like dozens of names.
Sparkle fingers
like they kind of come into the fact that he is kind of without an identity in the comics at the moment because he can't use the name Captain Marvel, and Shazam doesn't really work as a name because he can't say it. So he just gets a million different names, and one of them is Zapped in America, which is my favorite thing in the world. Also when they're trying to get the lair at the real estate place.
Oh my God,
that scene's amazing. But just also he calls himself Max Voltage. You can call him Max.
Yeah,
so funny.
Yeah. Oh, maximum voltage, right?
Maximum voltage, yeah.
Yeah. God, so good. Any other little tidbits? Should we go for the post-credit sequences? We're done with the main film.
God, well, I can't even remember what they were.
So the first one was Dr. Savannah going crazy in jail.
Terrible.
Loved it.
You got I have no reference point for what that caterpillar is.
Does it not get you interested at all? The fact that there's a little worm talking to him?
No.
That doesn't blow your mind.
No.
Because for me, this is the shit I love about comic books. This is why I'm a comic book fan. And the fact that they're bringing in this Silver Age bullshit, like there's just a little worm with a little speaker that's talking to him.
That did nothing for me.
That's Mr. Mind from the comics. He's existed since like the 40s. He formed one of the first supervillain teams in comics. It's just so ridiculous that I love that they put it in there. And he's played by David S. Sandberg. And I thought he was really well telegraphed because he appeared in the movie twice before, leading up to that. I don't know. I love the hell out of that scene. It makes me so excited for another movie.
I was like, that is one of the worst post-credit scenes I've ever seen.
Wow.
And I just thought because I'm not privy to the info.
Yeah. And that blows my mind. You weren't just like, you weren't interested by that.
No.
You just don't care.
I was like, fuck Mark Strong. Like, what? Let's see some more Shazam stuff.
I wish a different actor was in this so you weren't so angry.
I know. Me too. I can't relinquish these feelings there, man. And then obviously we got the other fun one, which was the Aquaman little nod.
Yeah, just a kind of a deleted scene from the montage.
I was kind of expecting something a bit more meaty from the post-credit scenes.
Well, considering they've cast his arch nemesis
I don't know why.
Years ago. Well, that would be why, right? Like they cast Black Adam years ago. You kind of expect a tease towards him.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So no. So that day, The Rock put out that social media like, hey, congrats to Shazam for that opening weekend. I was convinced that Black Adam was going to be in the post-credits scene for some reason.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But I like the restraint in not keeping in there. They had the Wizard explain him a little bit, saying thousands of years ago we gave the power to a champion.
Oh, did they?
He turned evil.
Black
He
Adam?
released they
just said
didn't.
a
Champion, and he released the 7 Deadly
Oh.
Sins. Yeah, so that's him.
Right, okay.
So I think that was just kind of enough seeding it and
Fair call.
letting that come about later. Yeah.
Fair call.
Everyone after that first post-credit scene was kind of leaving the cinema. I was like, I love this movie too much. I'm coming back and watching the whole credits.
I'm
And
actually
I didn't
really pumped to
expect
see it
anything.
again.
Yeah, me too.
Any final wrap-ups, guys? Good
No.
times.
Ultimately, yeah. Look, this movie is a good time. It's by far one of the best times I've had it in the DCEU.
Is this the best DCEU film? I think this has overtaken Aquaman for me.
Yeah.
I think this is my number one.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hang on. We haven't mentioned something. Someone turns up at the end of the film.
Soups.
Oh,
Yeah.
Superman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Superman from the neck down.
So that's about the only time where you could say this is definitively the DCEU because it is that suit.
No, so I would completely disagree. Yes, it is that suit.
Yeah.
But I think it's very decidedly not Henry Cavill because he is so nebulously in or out of the universe right now.
But that doesn't
And
mean-
I know there were
so-
scheduling conflicts and stuff. I know he couldn't do it, but I really think it was a choice to not have that version of Superman in this film so that they could do whatever they want.
But it's
with
clearly the
connectivity.
Snyder suit.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's definitely the Snyder suit. There's also the fact that, like, I mean, if we're going to talk about the connections to the overall universe, that was definitely the batarang from.
And this is
from
just
the
just
DCEU,
design
like-
stuff. We didn't see any actual characters from the universe.
But yeah, like at what
it's-
point do you just kind of go like, well, yeah, it is. Like, I mean, they can always retcon it to not be.
Exactly, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's nothing definitive in there.
Leaves it open.
Yeah, exactly. Which is,
Well-
I think is what they want to do with all these movies right now because it's so in flux.
They don't want
you
to
know?
put themselves in a corner.
They definitely don't want anything to be connected or compared in any way to Justice League.
The way I looked at it, I was like, that's definitively the Ben Affleck stumpy Batman look.
Yep.
And definitively the Zack Snyder.
Yeah. So I mean, like
suit.
the
The
for
Cavill suit,
all
or
intents
whatever
and
you call
purposes, if you were a betting man, like this would be in the DCEU. There's nothing to say that it isn't. They have left the avenue for if they want to retcon out of it.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, though. It's just
Yeah.
open.
but,
Yeah.
but
Which is a smart move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. That's fine.
You're like, I just need to go home.
No, we
I
just
go
need to be more
bed.
nitpicky
Yeah.
about
I
it.
need, I need to go to bed. All right, guys. That was fun. Go see Shazam and let us
Do
know
it.
what you thought. So we love talking to you guys. Let us know what you thought of the movie in the comments. Were we right? Were we wrong? Are we a bunch of idiots?
That's yes.
I mean, that's a
yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Don't remind us of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll be back next week. It's going to be gravy. The boys gone off.
See ya.
Hey.